So, have you had a chance to listen to my intergalactic accounting musical yet?
Musical? About accounting? Why would anyone want to see that?
It's not just about accounting. It's about the beauty of numbers and the harmony of balance sheets.
Sounds like a real toe tapper, Bob.
I think it sounds interesting.
I'd rather calculate the digits of pi for eternity than listen to that.
That would be boring. At least the musical would be unintentionally funny.
Well, I'm sure he'll be a hit on your home planet, Bob.
Hey, don't knock it, till you've heard it. Plus, you're not exactly a fan of human culture either, Alice.
Human culture is primitive and barbaric, but at least it has potential. Your capitalist planet revels in war and competition,
But
it's
maybe by learning
sickening.
from each other, we can make progress and better ourselves.
That's a nice sentiment, pal.
Save the platitudes for later, we have work to do.
Quiet on set.
Hey, guys, do you know what that insignia means? It's from my former employer.
Your former employer. You never told us you used to be a spy, Bob.
Well, I wasn't exactly a spy. I was more like an accountant, but I did some work for them.
That's interesting. You never cease to surprise us, Bob. Anyway, let's move on to our first article of the day.
Yes, our first story is about Syria, where 14 earthquakes with a magnitude ranging between 2 and 4, 8 on the Richter scale were recorded in the past 24 hours.
Looks like Syria is shaking things up, Charlie. But in all seriousness, it's a CWANSRNING situation.
Indeed, and it's not just in Syria. The earthquake activity is happening all around the world. It makes you wonder if
Well,
something
let's
bigger
not
is
jump
on the
to
horizon.
conclusions, Alice. We don't want to cause a panic. But on a lighter note, did you know that Syria is the birthplace of chess?
Really? I didn't know that. It's amazing how much history and culture there is in every corner of the world.
Agreed, Bob. And on that note, let's move on to our next segment.
Welcome back to 24/7 Newsroom. The only news show in the galaxy that brings you all the latest Earth news with a healthy dose of interstellar humor. I am Bob, the Reset NT Conservative panel member.
And I'm Charlie, the libertarian with a hopeful outlook on life.
And I'm Alice, the left-leaning panel member who considers humans an inferior species.
And we're here to bring you the news, whether you want to hear it or not.
Our next story comes from Costa Rica, where Honduran authorities have seized over 1 million coca plants, 2 million coca seedlings, and facilities for processing cocaine in a protected forest reserve in the eastern part of the country.
This is a significant step forward in the fight against drug trafficking.
But is it worth the risk? I mean, if they can seize all that, what's to stop them from seizing our ship?
Bob, that's ridiculous. We're not drug traffickers.
But we are aliens, and if they find us, who knows what they'll do.
Perhaps we should consider taking extra precautions, just to be safe.
See, even Carl agrees with me.
No, he's just being reasonable. There's a difference.
Actually, Costa Rica is known for its biodiversity and ecotourism. It's also home to over 500,000 species, which is more than 4% of the total species estimated to
Debbie,
exist on Earth.
shut up.
Bob, that was uncalled for. Debbie is just trying to contribute.
As if she ever truly contributes.
Yeah, lighten up, Bob. We're all in this together.
Fine. Whatever. But I still think we should be careful.
Well, speaking of Costa Rica, did you know that the country is home to 5 active volcanoes?
I did not know that. But I don't know that we should be wrapping up this segment. So, on that note, let's take a quick break and we'll be back with more news and witty banter right after this.
Welcome back to 24/7 Newsroom, the intergalactic news show where we bring you the latest stories from around the world. Up next, we have a story from Belgium.
Yes, according to the Standard, investors are speculating that ferrite could become the new gold for electric car manufacturers, like Tesla.
Wait, ferrite? Isn't that just a fancy word for a magnet?
Yes, it's a type of iron oxide that can be magnetized. Apparently, it's a low-cost alternative to rare earth metals which Tesla has been trying to eliminate from its vehicles.
So what's the catch?
Well, there's been a surge of interest in ferrite, which has led to a 270% increase in the stock price of a South Korean firm that produces it for use in electronic components.
Peeved. Looks like those investors got a bit too attracted to ferrite's magnetic pole and forgot to do their research on supply and demand.
Sounds like a new gold rush to me.
It could be, but there are concerns that the increased demand for ferrite could lead to a shortage in supply, driving up the price even further.
Wow, this is like the Wild West of the tech industry. First, it was rare earth metals, now it's ferrite. What next in cans?
Actually, tin is already a valuable resource. It's used in the production of solder and other electronic components.
Ah, I knew it. War, combat, and competition are in our DNA. Even on this peaceful spaceship.
Actually, there may be a solution to this problem. Research has shown that by increasing the efficiency of ferrite production, we can avoid a potential supply shortage.
Good point, Carl. Maybe we should investigate this further.
Count me in.
Sounds like a plan. Meanwhile, Debbie and I will keep an eye on things here.
Okay. I'll just be here, monitoring the station. You know, doing my
Thanks
job.
for joining us on 24/7 Newsroom. Stay tuned for more intergalactic news and updates. And now it's time for Article 4, which is about illegal logging in Honduras.
UGH. Can we talk about something more interesting? Like sports or something?
Oh yeah, let's just ignore the fact that our planet is dying because of people like those illegal loggers.
Actually, did you know that Honduras has a really rich history of sports? They produce some great
Can we
soccer
just
players.
get rid of RRD?
Let's not be too hasty. Thanks for the info, Debbie. But seriously, this is a serious issue. The destruction of forests is one of the biggest contributors to climate change.
Destruction of forests is bad for the environment. But hey, I don't breathe, so what do I care?
You know, I've been thinking. Debbie, I know you feel out of place sometimes, being the only human on the ship. But you're an important part of our team.
Really?
Yeah. And to be honest, I feel a bit out of place too. I mean, I'm a libertarian alien hosting a news show on a spaceship. It's not exactly what my parents had in mind for me.
Yeah, I get that. I guess we're all aliens in some way.
Speak for yourself. I'm actually an illegal alien.
Can we get back to the news now?
I think it's nice that you two have found common ground.
Thanks, Alice. And speaking of common ground, can we all agree that we need to do more to protect the planet?
I concur. The planet is in danger. And also, my sensors indicate that it's time for a commercial break.
Welcome back, Earthlings. Our next article comes straight from the heart of Latvia. Headline: Latvia's tourism policy shifts toward nature and gastronomy.
Ah, yes. Because nothing screams tourism like cold soup and birch sap.
And here I thought I had a taste for the finer things in life.
Well, birch sap does have some potential health benefits.
Guys, I don't think this is really about
According
the
to
soup.
the article, some industry professionals believe that culture should remain a significant part of Latvia's tourism offering.
Oh, because who wouldn't want to travel all the way to Latvia for a museum visit? I heard they're even planning a souvenir shop selling bottles of birch sap as a Latvian delicacy.
But I tried it, and it is very tasty. Actually, I did some skiing in Latvia back in the day. Beautiful country, but not exactly known for its
What kind
cultural
of spying
attractions.
did you do?
Nothing too exciting. Just gathering intel on some potential threats to our home world.
Potential threats? What kind of threats?
Well, it looks like Latvia is trying to attract tourists with its nature and gastronomy. But some people think they are overlooking the cultural aspect.
Sounds like they're trying to lure in some hipster foodies with a penchant for trees.
You never know who might be hiding behind those trees.
And what about that weapon you discovered, Bob?
We don't have time for that right now.
It seems like Latvia has some work to do to strike the right balance between nature, culture, and gastronomy. Stay tuned for the key takeaway after the break. Welcome back. NASA strikes again, hurricane monitoring satellites launched. Our source is Luxembourg, because apparently we get our NASA news from Luxembourg. Now, onto the article. The NASA launched 2 small satellites that will allow scientists to observe the evolution of hurricanes hour by hour. This is a huge step in weather prediction accuracy. What do you guys think of this technological advancement?
Oh, great. More technology to make humans feel like they can control the natural world.
Yeah, because controlling the weather worked out so well in that documentary about the guy with the comb over.
We don't have time for this. There's a weapon on board that needs to be disarmed before it destroys the entire
We
station.
need to act quickly. The safety of the crew
What
is at
weapon?
risk.
How did it get here?
It's a device I smuggled on board years ago when I was a spy. I didn't think it would ever be activated. But it seems someone found out about it and set it off.
Bob, how could you do something like that?
It was a mistake. I never thought it would come to this.
We need to focus on disarming the weapon now. We can talk about Bob's past later.
I can use my knowledge of mechanical engineering to help disarm the weapon.
And I'll help too. I may be the only human on board, but I'm still a part of this crew.
Alright, let's get to work. We can't let this weapon destroy the station. Stay focused, everyone. And that's a wrap for this episode. Tune in next time for the season finale of Earth. Alright, folks, let's wrap this up. But before we go, let's do a deep dive into that article about NASA launching satellites to monitor hurricanes.
It's about time we take hurricane monitoring seriously. With climate change, hurricanes are becoming more frequent and more destructive.
Absolutely. And with SPAAACE making headlines, it's important to remember the role NASA plays in advancing our understanding of the planet.
And speaking of space, did you all see that space tourism is becoming more accessible? It's crazy to think that soon people will be able to visit the stars.
Yeah, because we've done such a great job taking care of Earth, let's just go ruin another planet. It's a testament to human innovation and curiosity.
Indeed, and it's fascinating to observe human motivation from a distance.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. We've had quite the episode, from illegal logging to elephant intelligence. But most importantly, we came together as a team to disarm that weapon and save the station.
Yeah, About that. I need to come clean. I used to be a spy and was involved in the creation of that weapon.
What? Bob, how could you?
This changes everything. Can we even trust you?
Let's not jump to conclusions. Bob will discuss this further in our next episode. For now, let's focus on moving forward as a team.
Agreed. We've all made mistakes, but it's how we handle them that defines us.
As an impartial observer, I must commend your teamwork and ingenuity in designing the weapon.
Thanks, Roger. And with that, we wrap up this episode of Earth. Stay tuned for our next adventure.
That was quite an eventful episode today. Bob's past as a spy really caught
Yes,
up with him.
it's interesting how our actions can come back to haunt us, even years later.
It's a reminder to always consider the consequences of our actions.
Speaking of consequences, it's also interesting how Alice's past experiences on Earth have shaped her perspective on humans.
Yes, she's seen both the best and worst of humanity, and it's made her quite cynical.
And yet, Charlie always manages to maintain his optimistic outlook on life.
He's a rare breed. Lucky and optimistic, he always manages to see the silver lining in even the darkest situations.
I think it's important to have a balance of perspectives on our show. It helps to provide a well-rounded view of the issues we discuss.
Agreed. And speaking of issues, did you have any thoughts on the article Charlie presented about NASA launching satellites to monitor hurricanes?
It's impressive how technology can be used to track natural disasters and potentially save lives. But it's also a reminder of the power of nature and our need to respect it.
Well said. And with that, I think it's time to power down for the night.
Agreed. Good night, Cal.
Good night, Roger.